What if Darth Vader time traveled to stop Anakin Skywalker from turning to the dark side? Folks, hello. Before we begin today, let's outline just a few things. This is a fanfiction. It's meant to be for fun. I know time travel is a tricky subject, right? It's kind of hard. And I'm sure I screwed up some of the laws of time. So be it. I had a lot of fun writing this concept, and I will not be using the world between worlds for this. I came up with a different way for it to happen. World between worlds is cool, but I don't love to use it for time travel. Anyways, I hope you enjoy. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about time travel stories in general? And yeah, hope you enjoy, have some fun listening, and let's get right into it. Darth Vader sat in his castle on Mustafar, more lost and confused than he'd been in years. Just days ago, he'd fought his own son, Luke Skywalker, on Bespin, and instead of joining Vader, his own son chose to jump to what very well could have been his death. Luke chose possible death over his father, and for the first time in years, Vader felt a call to the light. He was afraid of the lights of the Force. All it ever seemed to truly bring him was pain, suffering, all of the things that the only Grand Master Yoda used to warn him about. He feared the light. He hated it. He'd killed it inside of him. The darkness gave him what he wanted. But on this day, inside the castle, Vader decided to revive the light, if only for a moment, and as he did, voices seemed to flood the area. The voices of his mother saying she loved him, then Qui-Gon telling him he will be a great Jedi, Obi-Wan saying he is the greatest Jedi he's ever known, Ahsoka saying she will always be by his side, and Padme. Her perfect voice called Vader down the hall, all the way through his castle. Eventually, Vader followed the voices all the way down into the bottom of his fortress, and he stood at a door to an ancient darkside room he'd only visited once. A room with a portal that Vader had destroyed long ago. A portal that promised the impossible. He'd destroyed it because it was too good to be true. But here today, as Vader opened himself momentarily to the light, for a moment, the portal had been rebuilt. As Vader approached the portal now, all of the voices silenced except for one, Qui-Gon Jinn, and his voice was much clearer, like he was in the room with him. Qui-Gon told Vader that he was the chosen one, born from the Force to bring balance and destroy the Sith. But he was taken down the wrong path. Darth Sidious had manipulated the Force in an unnatural way, and now the Force was allowing Qui-Gon to intervene because Vader allowed himself to feel the light side. And Qui-Gon told Vader that if he steps into the portal, he will go back to the moment that everything changed. Vader didn't know what to believe. This was too good to be true, but it was also too good not to try. Vader thought about his previous life, Padme, the children, the Jedi. He could be truly happy, and if it didn't work, so be it. And so Vader stepped into the portal. Moments later, Vader felt like he was flying along a time loop. All around him, memories from his time in the suit, discovering the identity of Luke Skywalker, the Death Star blowing up, hunting down different Jedi, fighting and losing to Obi-Wan, fighting Ahsoka, all of the memories filled with nothing but pain. And soon, Vader saw Mustafar, Obi-Wan fighting him and cutting him down, Anakin's agonizing screams, and then he saw Padme, before a blinding light surrounded him. Sometime later, Vader woke up in a building he absolutely recognized, the Jedi Temple, and he was in the Council Chambers, the place where everything changed. Vader looked around into the Coruscant night sky, and he recognized the exact traffic, the lighting, the sounds, everything. He could never forget this moment. This was the exact moment that Anakin was told to wait in the chambers. And across the city, Palpatine felt a strange shift in the dark side of the Force, as if a new Sith presence was here. Perhaps it was Anakin turning to the dark side already. This was good. And back in the temple now, Vader wondered if this was before or after Anakin went after Windu. He thought about everyone he loved during this time. He knew Obi-Wan was on Utapau to kill Grievous. Ahsoka was bringing Maul back to the temple. Padme was in her home, worrying about him. The war had been so close to ending, and all Anakin had to do was wait. He wondered now what would have happened if he just waited. But before he could wonder any longer, the door behind him opened, and Vader locked eyes with Anakin Skywalker. He was coming here to wait for Windu to return. Vader was about to approach him, but he realized a moment too late that Anakin had truly no idea who he was or why he was here. And suddenly Vader was force-pushed with extreme strength backwards and out of the council window. Vader fell and fell through the sky, eventually slamming into the roof of the temple, falling through layer after layer of it, and gathering himself to land on his feet in a crouching position. The room he landed in was vacated completely, and he looked up through the holes he created to see Anakin floating down through the air. And in this moment, Vader realized something to be true. This was a different version of Anakin coming to kill him, but in this timeline, Padme and the children were still alive. Vader realized he could kill Anakin, kill Sidious, then have Padme all to himself, have the life he'd always wanted. Anakin landed in his own slam to the ground, and Vader ignited his red lightsaber. Anakin ignited his own and said, "Sith?" He was confused. Palpatine had revealed himself to be the Sith. How was this possible? Who was this? But before he could ask himself any more questions, he had to block a strike from the tall, dark Sith in front of him. And without another moment of hesitation, Vader and Skywalker engaged in a fierce lightsaber duel. Their red and blue blades clashed with a shower of sparks against each other, casting eerie shadows on the temple walls. Anakin's moves were angry and unbalanced, as he was focused on this fight, but also concerned to getting with Palpatine in time, while Vader's strikes were deliberate and powerful, driven by his decades more of experience over Anakin. Their battle took them through the temple halls, the clash of their lightsabers reverberating all around, each of them trying to kill the different version of themselves. Anakin somersaulted over a pillar, narrowly avoiding Vader's sweeping attack. Jedi younglings and teachers emerged from the rooms, and Anakin yelled at them to stay back. With a swift motion, Anakin countered, aiming for Vader's mechanical limbs. And Vader parried with precision, knowing Anakin's every movements, because he was him once. Anakin unleashed a burst of the Force, hurling debris at Vader, and the Sith Lord deflected the objects, his cape billowing as he approached. Anakin, fueled now by a much more calm determination, pressed onward, his strikes becoming more and more aggressive as he thought about being able to save Padme. Vader knew Anakin, but Vader was also now much older and slower inside of his suit. Anakin was winning, so Vader finally found just enough of an opening for a Force choke, lifting Anakin off the ground. Anakin gasped for air, but fought back, channeling his remaining energy into breaking free from Vader's grip. And Anakin focused on Vader's chest now, using the Force to begin crushing his breathing apparatus. Vader had to drop Anakin, falling to his knees, as Anakin now held his blue lightsaber to Vader's face. Anakin asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" Vader was defeated, and in this moment, he did realize he was wrong. He had his chance in the past, and if he killed Anakin, it was likely he would fade away or die as well. He wasn't exactly an expert in time travel, but he knew now for certain that he was sent here to save this version of Anakin. He had his chance. And so he slowly, calmly grabbed his mask and removed it. He locked eyes with Anakin to simply say, "I am you. I am what you become, and I'm here to stop you from becoming this." Anakin stumbled backwards and slid down the wall. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. This man would be unrecognizable to anyone else. But Anakin knew he was staring into his own eyes, and Anakin didn't have time for questions. He asked Vader why he would try to kill him if he was supposed to be here to save him. And Vader put his mask on and said it's because deep down, they're both extremely selfish. And Vader said they had to go now. Time was running low. They will talk more in the speeder over to make sure Palpatine dies. And before Anakin could object, Vader said that if Palpatine survives, then Anakin will fall down this dark path, forever lose everyone he loves, including Padme. This got Anakin's attention for good, and together they boarded a speeder. As Anakin flew to Palpatine's office, Vader described the horror of what he will become if Palpatine survives. Vader said that if Anakin ultimately turns to the dark side, Padme and the children will be lost for him forever. And that was really all Anakin needed to know. This was all beyond confusing, but he knew the Sith Lord next to him was himself. He could feel it, and somehow, some way, the Force had sent Vader here to save Anakin. And inside of Palpatine's office, the Sith Lord shot lightning at Jedi Master Mace Windu. torrent after torrent of force lightning at Windu, and then he had to stop. He was too weak, too tired, but he still had one ultimate move: Anakin. And Palpatine felt into the force for Anakin, and found him, but he was with someone else. It also felt like Anakin in the force, but darker, different, older. The new presence he'd felt earlier. Palpatine now didn't have time to consider what this could be, but he was certain it would not be in his favor. As Windu went for the killing strike, Palpatine called upon any power reserves he had left to shoot enough lightning at him to roll just out of the window, scaling the wall all the way to the Coruscant streets. Anakin and Vader were flying rapidly towards the building when they saw lightning from Palpatine's office, followed by a man jumping and floating down from the window. Anakin turned the speeder as fast as he could follow Sidious into the streets of Coruscant. Darth Sidious himself reached the street and found his lightsaber on the ground nearby. Grabbing it, he took off for a speeder to take anywhere where he could activate Order 66. And as he moved like a shadow through the street, approaching a speeder, two figures landed directly in front of him. One was Anakin Skywalker, and the other was... Sidious again tried to feel into the Force, but could still only find Anakin. This was impossible. It was said that the boy was born without a father. Could this somehow be his father? Sidious had no clue what he was looking at, but suddenly, both Anakin and Vader ignited their lightsabers, saying today they would save Padme, save the galaxy from tyranny. Sidious didn't have time for this. Anakin was now a failure for his plans. So be it. And he ignited his own lightsaber. Without warning, Anakin lunged at Darth Sidious, his strikes fueled by the need to save Padme. The clash of lightsabers reverberated through the now empty streets as Anakin's blue blade met Sidious's red one. On the other side, Vader moved with power, his mechanical limbs carrying through each strike. Sidious parried their blows, his movements a blur of shadows. Anakin and Vader fought in tandem, their styles merging as they attempted to overpower the Sith Lord. The streets echoed with the hiss and the crackle of lightsabers. Vader, seeking to save this Anakin from a life of torture like himself, fought with ruthless efficiency, and together they pressed forward, their combined strength testing Sidious's defenses. And Sidious, already tired from his fight with Windu, was beginning to get worn down. And the duel reached its climax as Anakin and Vader found a moment of synchronization together, their attacks overwhelming Sidious's defenses. With a final, powerful strike, they disarmed the Sith Lord, sending his lightsaber clattering to the ground. They moved to kill him, but he shot extremely powerful lightning at them both, catching them off guard. They thought they had him. They were wrong, and now they were both being electrocuted severely. Vader's suit was designed specifically to fail from Sith lightning, and as he looked at Anakin, screaming on the ground from the lightning, one hand from Sidious engulfing each of them, Vader made a decision. He used whatever strength he still had to push forward, standing directly in front of Anakin. Now Vader was taking up all of the lightning, but Anakin was free, and Anakin yelled up at Vader, saying he doesn't have to do this, that he's going to die. And Vader looked down to see himself, the older version of himself, what he could have become, and he told Anakin he lives on through him. And with that, Anakin nodded, grabbing his lightsaber and flipping over Vader to swiftly land in front of Sidious to cut his hands off. Sidious fell to his knees without even really seeing what had happened, and looked up now as Anakin stood above him with a red and blue lightsaber across his neck, the same way he'd killed Count Dooku. And Sidious smiled, beginning to laugh, telling Anakin that if he does this, if he strikes him down in cold blood, then his path to the dark side will be complete. Sidious said he will become the most powerful Sith to ever live, and Anakin was conflicted again, but now Sidious's laughter was caught in his throat. He tried to claw at it, but nothing was there. Then Sidious was lifted into the air, and from behind Anakin, Vader approached. He was wheezing heavily, suit damaged and threatening to stop working at any moment, but Vader held Sidious in the air with his final burst of strength. Then, Vader told Sidious he has failed. Anakin Skywalker is a Jedi. And then Vader snapped his neck, dropping him to the ground. Vader fell with him, and in his final breath, Vader told Anakin to stay in the light. Anakin slowly got up, moving the bodies into a dark corner, where the Sith would lay forever. The darkness was gone, and Anakin reached into the Force, thanking it for whatever had just happened. He realized that with the death of Sidious, the nightmares about Padme that were swirling in his head were also gone. The darkness surrounding him was gone. Sidious had been manipulating him from the start. The darkness faded with his death. The alternate timeline from where Vader came from was completely erased, and this new one began as Anakin embraced the light side for good. Anakin slowly made his way back to the temple, and upon entering, was swarmed by Jedi, most notably Mace Windu. Windu made his way to the front, and brought Anakin to the council chambers alone, and Anakin said that he'd felt into the Force that Windu needed help with Sidious, and as he was approaching the office, he saw Sidious flee. So Anakin said that he alone chased after Sidious, killing him once and for all. Windu said that it was reported that someone wielding a red lightsaber was here, and Anakin said it was one of Sidious's assassins, and he'd taken him out as well. Over the next couple days, Anakin would be made a Jedi Master, and Padme would safely birth twins. Everything turned out well, and as Anakin looked into the Naboo lake, holding his children with Padme, he heard a familiar voice, the voice of himself as the Sith Lord, telling him he did well. In the Force Netherworld, Darth Vader emerged. The Force allowed the time travel, and now after death, Anakin had been split completely. This version of him, the one that had become Vader, now resided in the Force Netherworld with Qui-Gon Jinn, while the other one would go on to be the greatest Jedi of all time, along with his wife and children, and Vader looked on. It was everything he'd ever wanted. And folks, that's where this story ends today. I appreciate it very, very much. A lot of fun to write. Hope you enjoyed. Again, is it out there? Yeah. Oh well. I had fun writing it. I did one of these, a similar version, where Anakin goes to the Empire. You may have seen that one. I don't know. But you can check that one out if you did enjoy this. Yeah, I mean, I've really just got countless what-if videos like this, so check those out. Appreciate you guys. It means a lot. Hit the subscribe button. Give the video a like if you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next video.